Welcome to the first season of the Gallic War. Only a few historical events have attracted as much attention as the Gallic War. We all know Julius Caesar or Vercingetorix, but can you tell me how the Gallic War began? And who were the Gauls anyway? Let's start with the geographical classification of their territory. Gaul is the original area of the Celts, who were called Galli by the Romans. At this time, they divided the area into two main parts. Number one, Gallia Citerior or Cisalpina. Cisalpine means on this side of the Alps, seen from the Romans' perspective. The areas of the Upper Po Valley were occupied by Celtic tribes for a long time, such as the Salaci or Taurini. The Romans did not count this region as part of Italy, at least not until 42 BC, where it got incorporated as an Italian province. The southern border was formed by the small river Rubicon. Number two, Gallia Ulteria or Transalpina, the Gauls beyond the Alps. The southeastern part of Gallia Ulteria were conquered by the Romans in the Transalpine War from 125 to 121 BC. From 121 BC on, it was a Roman province and was called Gallia Narbonensis. Gaul in its entirety was divided into three confederations: the Belgae, the Aquitani, and the Gauls, who were called Celts in their own language. But when I'm speaking about the Gauls, I usually refer to all tribes for reasons of simplification, so don't get confused. It is important to mention that all tribes differ from each other in terms of language, customs, and laws. So there was no common sense of identity. On the contrary, campaigns were regularly waged against each other. Gaul was an area of constant chaos. Caesar names the Belgae as the bravest, since they are furthest away from civilization. Of course, he means the Roman Empire. Because of that, they're not used to any luxury. They lead a life full of deprivation, but this makes them also stronger, physically and mentally. In addition, they are constantly fighting with the neighboring Germans. Their fighters are hardened and experienced. They're not easy to defeat. But how did it come that Caesar invaded Gaul? The Gallic War begins with the story of the Helvetian nobleman Augetorix, who allegedly wants the kingship in Gaul and therefore persuaded his tribe to leave their homeland and march into the interior of Gaul. 2 years were estimated for the plannings. He allied himself with the Sequani and Aedui. They swore an oath of allegiance to each other to strive together for the rule of all Gaul. However, the plan was betrayed and Augetorix was put on trial. To avoid his death sentence, he instigated a riot in which he ironically died himself. But the Helvetians set off anyway. They set all their cities on fire, 12 in number, as well as about 400 villages. They burned everything they couldn't take with them, so there was no point of turning back. They persuaded their border neighbors, the Rauraci, Tulingi, and Latobrigi, to do the same and to follow them. To leave their territory, they had to cross the river Rhone that led to the territory of the Allobroges, Gaulish, foreigner or exiled. The Allobroges were allied with Rome, and so Caesar was notified to do something about the invasion. Caesar left Rome for Geneva as soon as he could. But why they sent Caesar to help? It's the spring of 58 BC. Caesar was consul of Rome the year before. His tenure had just ended. Afterwards, he had the governorship of the province Illyria transferred to him. He chose that region in the hope to get into a prestigious war. The area was predestined for a military operation. Shortly thereafter, the intended promagistrate for Gaul coincidentally died, so he got also the governorship of this territory. The invasion of the Helvetii into southern Gaul threatened the border of the Roman Empire. This incident came at just the right time for him. This was his chance to gain political fame and be rehabilitated by the Senate for his previous crimes, which he committed mainly during his consulate in 59 BC. Caesar committed open breaches of the law in order to enforce his legislative proposals. He ignored the veto of the other consul Bibulus and thus made himself extremely unpopular among the senators. After his return, he had to reckon with an indictment. He had to accomplish a feat that would fully rehabilitate him. A military victory that had to be so great that even his greatest adversaries fell silent. His destination was Gaul. What he doesn't expect, however, is the extent to which this war lead. In the next episode, we will look at the first battle of the Gallic War. See you soon, your geek philosopher.